integrating Active Directory with Globalscape's EFT software. We can accomplish this by creating an Active Directory integrated site. Simply right mouse click on localhost and we launch the Site Setup Wizard. The first page of the Site Setup Wizard gives you an option as to what security level you'd like to have on your site. We can do strict settings for PCI compliance if you needed to, but for the purpose of this video, we're going to do default security settings. Clicking next. This next page allows you to name your site. This is an internal reference only, so it's not public facing. This means you can name it whatever you want. In this case, I'm naming it mysite-ad for Active Directory. The second portion of this page allows you to configure an IP address to this particular site. So you can have an individual IP address per site. In this case, I'm just going to configure it to listen to all IP addresses. Next, this page allows me to configure where the site route is going to be stored. I can store it in a UNC path. I can store it in a physical drive letter. If I have the Cloud Connector module, I can push this into cloud storage, S3 buckets, blob storage, ADLS Gen 2, Google Drive, or even Google Cloud. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to take the defaults, which is my site route on my network share. These two options listed here allows you to create Unix style folders, like it says, or you can turn that off if you need to. EFT will automatically create folders that it needs. And then you can automatically create and assign home folders to newly created users. The next page gives you the option of what type of authentication type you want. In this case, since we're talking about Active Directory integration, I'm going to select Windows Active Directory Authentication. There's other advanced authentication options, right? Because Active Directory can integrate with Radius servers or RSA Secure ID servers, but we're not going to do that for the purpose of this video. This next page allows me to configure the parameters for Active Directory integration. The first one, right? The first one type. I'm obviously selecting Active Directory, but I can configure with local system accounts if I need to. And then the domain. I can select the default domain, or I can specify another domain if you have multiple domains in your network. This default domain is actually taking that information from the service account that's associated with the EFT software. In this case, my service account is an Active Directory user, and that user account has to have, at the minimum, read access to your Active Directory network so it can query and extract the users as needed. This option here allows admins to determine which security groups or which Active Directory security groups will integrate with EFT. I can specify multiple security groups as long as I separate them with a comma, or I can select the everyone group. In this case, in my lab environment, I'm just selecting the everyone group. I'll hit test to verify that I can query the Active Directory and I'm extracting users as needed. Admins can choose which user attribute to use as an account name. You have the option of int4, display name, user principal name, or common name. Regardless of the login name chosen, EFT will accept the provided login name type, whether it's UPN, int4 account name, common name, or display name. And if the match exists, the user will be authenticated and the chosen login name type will be displayed in the admin. This option here, synchronize users only after the first attempt to log in, that's designed for large Active Directory networks with thousands and thousands of users. So what happens is when a user logs in for the first time, EFT will reach out to Active Directory to validate that the user exists and it has the right permissions, and then it'll bring that user account into the EFT software. Okay, let me turn this back off. This next option, access permissions are managed by Windows. This gives admins the ability to allow Active Directory to maintain the folder permissions for users, or if you turn it off, you can let EFT maintain folder permissions for those users. This feature here gives admins the ability to decide where the user data is going to be stored. The first option would be to create a virtual folder pointing to the user's home folder that's defined in their Active Directory profile, or you can create a separate physical folder underneath the site root folder within the EFT server using the user's login name. This option here, this checkbox option, allows you to turn off the domain attribute when the folder is being created. So instead of being domain.jsmith, it'll be /jsmith. Clicking next, it takes me to the DMZ gateway configuration page. In this case, in the purpose of this video, we won't be using a DMZ gateway. Clicking next takes me to the protocol page. I have the ability to turn on or activate the protocols that I need enabled, right? Provided that I've have the module that supports it. In this case, I'm going to use SFTP and HTTPS. I can change the port IDs if I want to. Since I have other sites and I'm listening to that one single IP address, I'm changing the port numbers to something different. So I'm going to use 2230, 444, 30, 443, something like that, right? Just to so I can start the site successfully since there won't be a port conflict, right? To get past this page, I need to create an SSL certificate or add it to this site, and same thing for a site key. So in this case, I'm going to create SSL cert. It's easier to create one just due to my lab environment. It's going to be internal site name, certificate, which is going to expire, and I can type in my own passphrase. And I'll take the default key length, which is 4096. There are other options. 2048 is older, wouldn't recommend it. 8192 is more advanced, but the deep common bit length or key length, is 4096. Click next here. I can populate this with information. Since it's a self-signed certificate, it can be anything I want. I'm just populating with fake information. Click next, and I have the choice of what type of certificate format or what key format that I need, or if I want to, save it as, and I'm just taking the defaults. Click finish, And that site key has been created. Next thing to do would be the SFTP key. I can configure my SFTP key here, click create to use the wizard. It's by my site name /key. I'm going to put it in the same store. I have options here, RSA, DSA. Obviously DSA is deprecated in some ways, so it's not recommended. So ECDSA or ED 2519 is available. And I'll just take the most compatible, RSA, and then the length, again, 2048, 4096, or 8192. I'll take the middle one and click next and put a passphrase for this one. And this key is going to be my site key. So create a host key pair we copy to the key manager and assign to the site. Click finish. That key's been created. And now I can complete this to go to the next page. The site has been successfully completed. I can hit finish, and it should start once it's complete. And there we go. Now that we've created an Active Directory integrated site, let me talk about the advantages of having one. Number one, unified accounts. Active Directory integration eliminates the need for IT to create and track separate user accounts within the EFT platform. User provisioning and deprovisioning are handled centrally through Active Directory, saving time and reducing the risk of orphan accounts when employees leave. Number two, consistent policy enforcement. When an Active Directory account is used to log in, it is subject to the Active Directory server's password complexity, expiration, and other security rules. This ensures that all users, including those with elevated privileges, adhere to the same security standards. And number three, simplified permissions. Administrators can assign permissions to users and groups directly from Active Directory. This model simplifies access control as users automatically inherit permissions from their Active Directory groups, with the system assigning the most privileged role if a user is a member of multiple groups. And let me show you how that looks. So here's my Active Directory site. If you look at my passwords for my password settings, it's all disabled, right? I can turn around and look at here, look at this user account, the security. This is disabled because Active Directory is taking care of that, number one. So there's your access, your VFS permissions, your permissions to the Active Directory site. That's also maintained by Active Directory. So if you take a look at this user account, you notice the permissions are not available to you because it's maintained by Active Directory. So to summarize, Active Directory can be advantageous to EFT administrators in a number of ways. But bear in mind that the service account needs at minimum read access to your Active Directory network for this to work. Just a reminder, password policies are disabled in EFT, relying on Active Directory's password policy. Folder permissions are determined by Active Directory, not EFT. Now, you can create a site where EFT manages folder permissions, but that's not the purpose of this video. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you are interested in this technology and have questions or would like a demo, reach out to our sales department and we will coordinate a meeting. Thank you.